All right, we did a video last week.
Last week?
Last week?
Mm-hmm.
It was last week, where we broke down our dynasty teams. Badake and I both brought you one of our dynasty teams and the moves that we have made this offseason. We kind of took you through that process, right? And then we asked at the end of that video, do you guys want us to try and break down your teams and maybe give some advice of what we might do? So here we are. Okay, This is the first video where we are breaking down one of your dynasty teams, okay?
Yeah.
Shout out to Savcom, okay? If you want to, if you want to be a part of these kind of things, join our Discord in the description below. Savcom sent his dynasty team to us over there in the DMs. And here's some context. He said, it's a 12-team Superflex full PPR format. This was my first dynasty team, so I messed this team up pretty bad to start. But with the pieces I had, I think I fixed it up to be a contender in the next 2 to 3 years. And I want to see what you guys think, okay?
Right. Okay.
You can now see his team on the screen. You can see his starters. You can see the bench. And you can see the draft picks. So let's go this position by position. First off, the quarterbacks, Badake. I mean,
yeah, fantastic.
From the context, it sounded like he was in a rough spot. I expected much, much worse than this. To me, this is a dream situation for the quarterbacks.
Yeah, it is. Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones. I mean, 3 elite quarterbacks. And at the moment, you hope that Lance is going to be an elite quarterback. Russ just has a new home. Daniel Jones in his last year that can make it, break it. If there was one thing, do you want to go about one thing we can change for each position? Okay. Yeah. One thing I would do is try to sell one of these quarterbacks.
Really?
Yeah, I would try to sell Daniel Jones. Maybe get some depth pieces. If you need a wide receiver, maybe get a piece. I wouldn't sell a Lance, a Watson, or Russ. I think the person you sell.
We're on the same page there.
The person
I was worried that you were saying one of those guys, but I'm on the same page as well. Like if you can sell Daniel Jones, maybe the right time is to sell him mid-season though. Like if it is working out, I guess there's risk reward there. But yeah, I mean, in Superflex leagues, guys will pay up for quarterbacks even if they're not, primetime quarterbacks. You could get some depth at some other position. I guess that might lead us into the other positions. Let's talk about the running backs, right?
Yeah.
Dobbins and Etienne are in your starting lineup. Both guys I really believe in, and I currently think they're both being massively undervalued in Dynasty. Both are ranked inside my top 10.
Right.
Outside of that, it's weak.
Outside of that, it is weak. And if you know me, I love bobbing like I'm Dobbins. And then Travis Etienne, a year he needs to prove that he can be this guy, especially in Jacksonville with that foot injury. A guy that I did want to note was Ronald Jones. This is a good young running back that could bring some sort of value if the Bucs do move away from him, or if they just move away from Leonard Fournette, and then you say, you know what, we're going to ride with Ronald Jones. He can be that low end, a high end mid RB2 for you in going into next year, but he's still very, very young, so there can be some opportunity there. But yes, this is probably the weakest room in my opinion that is so crucial and important, at least for me, because I love that running back depth. I love the running back room 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I mean, even if one of these guys are on a bye week, or that's 2 weeks per year that you're maybe taking an L because of the weakness of your running back room. And there is no starting running back outside that. I mean, Ronald Jones, at best, he becomes like a top 30 guy, not someone that we really want to rely on, even though I still think there's something there, but I don't think, we both agree there's not enough depth here.
One thing I would do, if you need more depth, you do have the 105. Maybe Kenneth Walker is there. Maybe he lands on a good team. Maybe your team is really heavy on quarterbacks and Breece Hall falls to you, which I doubt. But if that's a case in a world, a multiverse, that happens, then that would be very, very interesting. And then I think,
let's just be honest, Breece won't be there, but if Kenneth might.
Kenneth will be nice at the 105 potentially. I mean, he has the 111. I don't know if you want to take someone like a Rashad as early. I know Kyron Williams has fallen tremendously.
We'll talk about those draft picks in a second because I have some thoughts as well.
Okay.
Let's just keep going through. So now we're in the wide receiver room. And in my opinion, I like to have a strong wide receiver room.
Yeah.
I like to have guys that at least 4 that I can see big futures in. And outside of Jalen Waddle, Elijah Moore, love them. Waddle is my wide receiver 4 in Dynasty. Elijah Moore is my wide receiver 16. I love that. Like, these are two very, very good wide receivers and both guys that I'm comfortable having as starters. But there's really no starters outside of Waddle and Elijah, right? I mean, in my opinion, you're not going to be able to compete as a team until there is more here, specifically at the wide receiver room. I think you can get away with the running backs, but to me, the wide receiver room is even more crucial because this is a PPR format. And it's also a 3 wide receiver starting lineup. So some people play with 2. Your league has 3 starting wide receivers. So for me, I almost would advocate that the wide receiver room is a bigger fix right now than the running backs, because at least you have enough starting depth for what you need at the running back position. But I mean, as a Washington fan, I love Curtis Samuel. I think there's still something there, but there's no starters outside of these top 2 guys. So like you were mentioning with the 105, yeah, look, if Brees is there, of course, that's a dream situation, but he's not going to be. So I would say take the best wide receiver off the board at that point at the 105.
You definitely
but
can.
the good news is, by the way, Badake, the great news is there is so much draft capital to fix this team.
100%.
I mean, we got the 105. We have the 111, the 112, the 202, the 203. There are so many opportunities here to fill the holes, specifically at the wide receiver and the running back position.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
So let's talk about, we'll get to that in a second. We'll quickly talk about the tight ends. Man, what a dream it would have been for you to see the news that Noah Fant was being moved and to have Albert O just sitting on your bench.
No doubt.
I think personally, between Ertz and Albert O, you don't need to make any moves at tight end. Genuinely. Like, you are in a true hold, in my opinion, because Ertz could still be relevant in a couple of years. And Albert O, if he does turn out to be the player that, some think that he could be, then it's better to wait on him than to sell him high, in my opinion. But where do you sit on that?
With the tight ends, I'm a little bit mixed just because I'm a guy that is not jumping on the Albert O train immediately. I want to wait and see, but if there's more talks coming into the season that he's going to be utilized a lot, then that's fantastic. But I do believe maybe you should invest, one of these second round picks, 203, maybe 209, depending on how, these first 4 picks have gone. Maybe a Trey McBride is there and you want to take him. Maybe he lands on a great team. You can get some more depth on your tight end position potentially.
Yeah,
but it just really depends on how you want to build your team. If you want to solidify that tight end position, with a young rookie tight end that may get some work now in this first year, or could be a project in the next, 2 years. So I think you're in a
that's
great
a great
position.
point.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. I mean, look, tight end is a hard position to find. So if at the 203, I'm just looking at your picks. I don't know that McBride would be there at the 209. It depends on your league. You know it better than us. But I wouldn't be, because you have so many chances here to take a swing.
100%.
So I would feel comfortable taking a swing with McBride, considering the draft capital that he has at the 203.
Donald Farham as well. There's a lot of question marks on who's going to be the tight end over there at the Chargers, and he has a top 5 quarterback in Justin Herbert.
I love Farham. The only issue though that for me there is like there's other young tight ends over there. Right? Trey McKitty, if I'm not mistaken, was just drafted. So,
so
it's hard. There's like way too many tight ends in that room and none that are like establishing themselves. All right. So I think Badake, we could both agree the biggest weaknesses are the running back and wide receiver room.
Right.
But like we said, there is a treasure chest of draft picks in order to try and address those in particular positions.
Areas, exactly.
So for me with the 105, I'm thinking, like I said, try and get the best wide receiver off the board. Okay. Try and go and grab maybe a Garrett Wilson if he's there, a Chris Olave, maybe a Drake London, whatever your sauce is at that point, right? Whatever you prefer. There's a lot of room for interpretation on what wide receiver should go there.
Yeah.
But then I would agree that maybe Kenneth Walker isn't a bad idea because you have the 111, the 112, the 202, and the 23. I mean, you could maybe get guys like Jamison Williams, George Pickens, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson there.
Yeah.
So I think it does depend. And the way I would approach this is best player available. Okay. That's how I'm approaching this. Purely running backs. You don't need quarterbacks. Don't take quarterbacks in this draft. Okay. But purely running back, wide receiver, take the best player available. That's what I would do with these with these picks.
I completely agree. I think that those are the biggest things. Get a wide receiver, running back, you're chilling. One thing I did want to say on the wide receiver is Nico Collins. I'm a guy that's believing Nico Collins. I think he's a good flex where you have him here right now, and then you can invest in a Chris Olave. He can be your wide receiver 3, or Garrett Wilson, your wide receiver 3. However the board is going to fall, I love putting him as that wide receiver 3 on, with Jalen Waddle, more Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, hypothetically, and then Nico Collins on my flex. I like that Nico Collins pick. I will continue to ride with him as well. Moving forward.
I don't dislike Nico, but for me, he's more of like a taxi rather than like someone that you can rely on at this point.
I feel like I can rely on him moving forward into this year. I think he will be the one.
He hasn't had like a top 12 finish ever. He hasn't had a top 24 finish ever.
It was his rookie year this past year. So
I know. I'm just saying we haven't seen it yet. So I think it's a big area of weakness.
Could be a bright side for Nico. A dark horse, if you will.
He could be, but again, I feel like that's someone you want on your bench. You don't really want to be relying on him as a starter just yet, in my opinion. But look, you also have a bunch of second rounders, and in my opinion, this is why I'm more inclined to take wide receiver drafts at the top,
right?
Because
202,
I think, right, like the 203, but even like the 209, 210, 302, 305, I think I would take a chance on some of those running backs who are in the similar tier at that point, right? The Algiers, the Brian Robinsons,
Jerome Ford should be there.
Jerome Ford's maybe, right? Like I think that's where you kind of take a shot at running back. So Zamir White maybe is there at that point.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps bring some clarity. We obviously see it a little bit differently in certain areas. But the last thing I'll say is don't trade any 2023 picks. Don't make that kind of move.
You have 2,
I think there's a real.
No, he has
I think he's got 2 seconds in 2023, 1 first.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Good solid foundation here, though. I mean, with your quarterbacks, that's one of the hardest positions to really solidify is 2 solid quarterbacks, and you actually have 3 that you can build around for the future. So let's continue to build through the draft. Don't panic. Don't do a panic trade. Trust the process. I give this team an A-. I think he's set up really, really well, and this is an advantageous position to be in with all the draft picks that he has.
Yeah, for me, my grade is like B+, A, like to A-, A. I think you have really good foundations. You can continue to build on there, especially wide receivers, running back. Get a wide receiver and a running back, just one at least in this draft, and I think you can be a good contender. And to see how these guys grow, because you have a futuristic team, essentially. You have a lot of young players in every position, especially that tight end position now with Alberto O. So it's going to be very interesting to see how your team pans out.
All right, guys, let us know. What do you think of the team? I like it. Comment down below.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch
now,
it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.